Hello everyone and welcome to ITLS Academy Empower the Youth. So today in this lecture we will going to study about the microbiology of food preservation, that is irradiation. So in the previous lecture we have completed one of the preservation techniques, now that is heat treatment. Now today we will going to study about irradiation, that how food is preserved by using a irradiation technique. So we all know that this food is very much important for all the living organisms that are present on this planet Earth, as well as it is the duty of a food manufacturer or a food companies to provide a food that has a good quality, as well as it should be free from any source of microbial attack. So this microorganism make food unfit for human consumption, and that leads to the different types of food poisoning diseases and many other diseases. So there are certain method through which a food is preserved, and food is preserved so that to extend their shelf life and to eliminate any microorganism that are present in that food. So now let's quickly see what is irradiation. So food irradiation, the application of ionizing radiation to food, is a technology that improves the safety and extends the shelf life of the food by reducing or eliminating microorganisms and insects, like pasteurizing milk and canning fruits, vegetables. Irradiation can make food safer for the consumer. So food irradiation, since the name suggests, irradiation means they uses radiations or ionizing radiation to safeguard the food. So it is nothing but it is a technology that improves the safety as well as extend the shelf life of the food product. And by how they improves the shelf life and quality of the food product, by by eliminating the microorganism or by killing the microorganisms that are present inside the food items. Now moving to the next, that is the Food and Drug Administration, that is FDA, is responsible for regulating the source of radiation that are used to irradiate food. The FDA approves the source of radiation for use on the food only after it has determined that radiating food is safe. So see, food through this food irradiation, so that is the Food and Drug Administration, that is FDA is a another is a main body that deals with all the food industries. They it is responsible for regulating the source of radiation. So why it, so that they can you provide a food that is fit for human consumption. So FDA approves the source of radiation. So what does FDA do? It approves the source of radiation for the use on food only after it is determined that yes, this food is safe when irradiation is done. So before checking that, no radiation is provided to the food unless and until it approves that yes, now it is safe, and it can easily eliminate the microorganisms that are present in the organism. So if we see that in its early development of radiation was thought of as a process to preserve foods for extended periods by sterilization. But after that, much later, that the thermal processing does. So if we talk about in the early development in preservation of food, so we do sterilization, and then after sterilization there is a thermal processing is done. However, this has been proven to be impractical for many products because of the amount of irradiation and required to commercially sterilize the food causes its own form of deterioration. So sometimes earlier, when the technologies are not so advanced, so this irradiation is also have a drawbacks. And what is the drawback? That certain foods that is irradiated, they cause its own form of deterioration. So so then if the freezing prior to irradiation can reduce the damage. So what is done, that just after irradiation, freezing is done. That causes the food to reduce the damage, but this makes the process extensively expensive. Why? Because here you are using the two techniques, that is irradiation and freezing. Then so the most recent development, if we talk about, have focused on the use of lower dose of irradiation, which are less damaging to the food yet have a desirable effect. See, after that, what people this food microbiologist or the preservation teams have decided just to use the lower dose of irradiation, so just to save your money, as well as to save the food from the excessive damage. But still it must have some desirable effects. So as the currently practice, if we say, irradiation is used for the three purposes. If we see, if I am writing here, so irradiation, if we talk about irradiation, so irradiation is basically used for three purpose. So the first purpose is it is used as an alternative to chemical fumigation to control insects in food, right? So the first is used as a alternative to chemical fumigation, okay. So it is an alternative to use as a chemical fumigation. And by this it is done just to control the insects that are present inside the spices, fruits and vegetables. Second use is, if we talk about the second use, so I'm rubbing this one. So if we talk about the second use, so it is used to inhibit the sprouting, or you can say self generation or mechanism of deterioration. So the second says inhibit sprouting, that is self generation mechanism. And the third is it is used to destroy. Third and the last one says the third point says it is used to destroy vegetative cells. So in this way it is being used to in the food manufacturing industries. Now so this result in an increase in the safety and shelf life of any food items. Now moving to the next, that is, these are some key products of food irradiation. So if we see the first product, it says the fresh fruits and vegetables. It includes mango, pomegranate, papaya, lychee, spinach, lettuce. Then comes some types of, in vegetables, it is tubers like onions and potatoes. Then comes the food grains like cereals and pulses. In this it is also irradiation is used. Then in certain spices, just to control the interference of any sort of insects. Then in the meat products like fish, chicken, prawns, etc. So here it is that these are some key product of food irradiation. So in this particular food items, irradiation is done just to maintain the safety of the food, as well as to extend the shelf life of particular food items. Now moving to the next, that is why irradiated why irradiate food, means what is the need to irradiate food. So irradiation can serve many purposes. If we see the first purpose, so irradiation, it prevents prevention of foodborne illness to it is done effectively to eliminate the organism that can cause foodborne illness such as salmonella, E. coli. So first is to prevent the foodborne illness. Then comes, because there are certain types of microorganisms that are present inside the food items, so in that cases it is used to eliminate the organism that can cause the foodborne illness. Example, salmonella and E. coli. E. coli is very pathogenic in nature, and that can cause certain types of diseases inside the food, and it can deteriorate the food to a extent that it can cause a harm to human beings. Then comes the preservation, so it is used to destroy, or you can say inactivate organism that can cause spoilage and decomposition and extend the shelf life of the food. So again, the second is preservation. So preservation, in this, it destroy, or you can say it inactivate the organisms in the sense that it can cause spoilage and decomposition, and it can extend the shelf life by this destroying or inactivating the organism. Then comes control of insects. So in this what it does, so it destroy the insect in or tropical fruits imported into a United States. Irradiation also decreases the need for other pest controlling practices that can make harm to the fruit. So the third point says control of insects. We have just in the previous slide I have written the second point, that it is an alternative to a chemical fumigation, just to control insects. So instead of using chemical fumigation, irradiation is done, because chemical fumigation may include certain types of the types of fumigation that can lead to harm any fruits or vegetables. So in this, irradiation is done. So delay of sprouting and ripening, that we have also discussed in our third point, that it delays the sprouting and ripening, that it inhibit the sprouting. What is sprouting? Like for example in potatoes, that it delays the ripening of fruit to increase the longevity. Means if the food has been ripe quickly, so it may get deteriorated, it may be not useful for consumption, so it delays the ripening of the fruits. Then the last point, that is the fifth point, says sterilization. So irradiation can be used to sterilize the foods which can then be stored for years without refrigeration. Sterilized food are useful in hospitals for patients with a severely impaired immune system, such as patient with AIDS or undergoing any chemotherapy. So sterilization is another method where you can irradiation is another method where it used the it can be used to sterilize the food, and this leads to store the food for many years without any refrigeration. And it is mainly, this sterilized food is mainly used for the patients that have a severely impaired immune system, or those patients with AIDS or undergoing any chemotherapy. Now moving to the next, that is how is food irradiated. So there are three sources of irradiation approved for use on food. The first one is gamma rays, second is X-rays, and the third is the electron beam. So basically three sources of irradiation is done, and that is how the food is irradiated. Obviously you need certain types of rays in this. So the first one is the gamma rays, second is the X-rays, and the third is the electron beam. So if we talk about the gamma rays, so gamma rays are emitted from a radioactive form of the electron cobalt, that is cobalt 60, or of the element cesium, that is 137. So gamma radiation is used to directly sterilize the medical, dental, household product, and is also used for radiation treatment of cancer. So gamma rays, it uses the element of cobalt and the element of calcium, that is 137 calcium and 60 cobalt, and basically it is used to sterilize the medical or dental or household products, and it is also used in the treatment of cancers. Then comes the x-rays. So the second ray is x-rays. So x-rays are produced by reflecting a high energy stream of electron of a target substance, that is usually one of the heavy metals, into the food. And x-rays are also widely used in medicines, in industries, where to produce the images and internal structures, that is x-rays. You must be familiar with the x-rays because during a cough or sometimes doctor recommend us to do the x-rays, to undergo x-ray. So there is a x-rays that is produced by reflecting a very high energy stream of electron, that is of a target substance, usually one of our heavy metals, into the food, and it is widely used in the medicines industries. Then comes the last ray, that is the gamma rays. So sorry, electron rays. Then electron ray is also known as e beam, and it is electron beam, not rays. So it is similar to x-rays, and is a stream of high energy electron propelled from a electron accelerator into the food. So electron beam is another type of beam that is used to extending the shelf life of food items, and this electron beam is a stream of high electron that is propelled from electron accelerator into the food items. Now moving to the next slide, that is irradiated food is safe to eat. Up irradiation food is safer to eat or not. So FDA has elevated the safety irradiated food for more than 30 years and has found the process to be safe. So if we talk about the FDA, so it has evaluated the safety of irradiated food for more than 30 years, and it is found that the process is very safe. And WHO, that is the World Health Organization, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and US Department of Agriculture, that is USDA, has also endorsed the safety of irradiated food. So in this slide, students, sometimes MCQs such as the full form of certain thing is asked in the examination. So I am marking it that it may ask you about FDA. You all know about FDA, Food Drug Administration. Then comes the WHO, that is the World Health Organization. Then comes the CCD, that is the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and the last one is USDA, that is the US Department of Agriculture. Now moving to the next slide, that is the FDA has approved a variety of foods for irradiation in a US state including. So FDA have approved the variety of foods for irradiation in the US. Like the first one is fresh fruits and vegetables. In this irradiation can be done. Then lettuce and spinach. Then comes the poultry products, means all the types of meat and egg products. Then comes the seeds of sprouting, like alfalfa sprouts. Then comes the shell eggs, shellfish, and then comes the spices and seasoning. So in all these foods item, irradiation can be performed. It is totally safe, and the beings can use the irradiated food items. Now comes the different doses of irradiation. So if we talk about the different doses, then if if we see the level 1, so the level 1 is the low dose application. The range is less than 1 kilogram. And what is the purpose of using the low dose application? So it inhibit the sprouting in potatoes and onion. The second purpose is insect disinfection in stored grains and pulses and products. Then comes a medium dose application, 1 to 10 kilogram, and it is used to eliminate elimination of spoilage microbes in fresh fruits and meat and poultry products. The second purpose is to eliminate the food pathogens, and third is control of microbes in spices and herbs. And if we give the very high dose application, so above 10 kilogram, then it is used to sterilize the food, to establish the shelf stable without refrigeration. That is mainly the high dose is given to the food items that are used in hospitals, like for treating any cancer patients, like AIDS patient. So it is done in that high doses given to that food products. Now comes the last slide of the topic, that is, how will I know if my food has been irradiated or not? So this question generally people are very much confused if through this how will I know that my food is irradiated or not? So the FDA required that irradiated food bear the international symbol for radiation. Look for the Rudra symbol along with the statement treated with irradiation. So FDA has approved that irradiated food it bears a international symbol of irradiation, that is Rudra symbol. You must be aware of this Rudra symbol. And Rudra symbol along with it has given a statement that treated with radiation or treated with by radiation on a food label. Bulk foods such as fruits and vegetables are required to be individually labeled or have a label next to the seal of the container. So you can next time whenever you are purchasing any food item, so you can check this thing. So whether it is irradiated or not. Then comes the it is important to remember that so FDA does not require the individual ingredient in a multi-ingredient food, example spices, is labeled. So it is important to remember that irradiation is not a replacement for a proper food handling practices by a producer, processor and consumer. Irradiated food needs to be stored, handled and cooked in a very same way as a non-irradiated food, because they could still become contaminated with disease causing organism after irradiation if the rule of the basic food safety is not allowed. So it is not the case that if the food is irradiated, so you don't have to take a proper precautions while using or while cooking the food items. It is always recommended that you should always cook the food in the same manner that how you are cooking the food that is not irradiated. So it is always recommended by, see, if a improper handling is done, right, so it may cause the food item to get deteriorated. It may causes food item to have any microbial contamination on them. So it is always recommended to use a food items in a proper way, in a proper handling, just to avoid any source of microbial contamination. Now moving to the next, that is, let's talk about some questions that are related to this topic, some important questions. So before that, let's quickly see what all we have covered so far. So we have covered the definition of food irradiation. We have seen the key products of food irradiation. We have seen why irradiate food, what is the need of irradiate the food, how food is irradiated means, what are the different rays or the beams that are used to irradiate the food that has approval to be used. Then we have seen, is irradiated food are safe to eat or not. Then we have seen the varieties of food that are irradiated. Then we have also talked about the different doses of food irradiation. Then comes how will you how will I know if my food has been irradiated or not. So these are certain things that we have covered so far in this lecture. Hope you have understood. Now let's quickly check the questions that can be asked in the examination. So the first is, what is food irradiation? Why irradiated food? And how does irradiation protect the food? How much irradiation is used? You can just simply go to the chart of the doses. And does treatment by irradiation guaranteed food safety or not? So these are some important questions that can be asked in the exam as well as in the interviews. So if you have any queries related to the lecture or anything, you can simply leave your queries in the comment section below. In the next lecture I'll be answering all the queries, and by the time, and please student, don't forget to subscribe ITLS Academy. You can simply go to our website, that is www.itlsacademy.com, and this is our helpline number, that is 7080833450. You can simply call on this number and get updated of any courses you want to enroll yourself. And thank you for watching, and please do like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get a latest update of any lecture that is coming in this series as well as in other courses as well. So hope you have understood, students. Thank you.